One night, I went to a bar in town to have a few drinks and get out of the monotony. I had just gotten off work and it was Friday. It was the perfect excuse to go out. I had bought an apartment, which cost me a lot of effort. After that, I wasn't willing to make any more sacrifices. I just wanted to live a quiet life. So I went to this place. It was a very traditional bar and I almost always saw the same people there. Outside the bar, there was one person. It was a girl standing there looking at me through the window, and she stood there for a long time. I kept staring at her, and when I looked away for a moment and turned around, she was gone. That was quite strange, and I asked one of the rockers if she had seen the girl who was outside. I also asked a waiter and a few other people, but no one saw that girl. Only me. I tried to forget about it and enjoy the company of friends and acquaintances, but after a while the girl was inside the bar, sitting at the table next to the bathroom door and again staring at me. She was wearing a hoodie and I couldn't see what color her hair was. I told my friends I was going home. I knew it was not going to end well and I left to take a cab about 100 meters away from the bar. In the distance, I saw the girl coming towards me, walking quite fast and staring at my eyes. So I gave up the idea of the cab and decided to walk home. The faster I walked, the faster the girl walked. So I started running as fast as I could. I ran about a kilometer and stopped to rest. Some might say it's not much, but for someone who works sitting at a desk and doesn't exercise, it's like running a marathon. I tried to breathe to see if my breath would come back, but my breathing stopped when I saw that she was standing on the corner next to where I was standing. I hurried back to the bar to get help, because there wasn't a single person on the street. Not even a cab, so I could get there a little faster. The girl was running after me, and it was as if she knew me from somewhere. But why me? Once I got to the bar, I saw that it was closed, so I decided to keep running in a hurry. When I got to my apartment, I told the security guard not to let anyone in. There was a girl behind me who wanted to end my existence. The security guard just nodded his head as if to say that was an order. I quickly took the elevator to my side. Although I was still a little scared, I felt safe, since she had no way of getting into the building. I arrived in the hallway leading to my apartment, and it was empty. The lamp had been damaged, so it was dark. My apartment was the last one if you walked from the elevator. I walked slowly, but something caught my attention just before I opened the door. I heard keys. They sounded like someone was turning them with a finger. I turned around, but there was no one there and the noise disappeared. I kept walking, and right in front of me appeared that girl who looked like she wasn't going to give up until she got what she wanted. I turned around and quickly took the elevator. She was coming very fast. She was ready to attack, but the doors closed. Although I selected the second floor, for some reason the elevator descended to the basement of the building. I took it as a mistake and reselected the second floor, but when the doors closed, they reopened in the same place. I decided to get out of the elevator and walk through the basement until I reached the stairs. The basement, as well as other areas of the building, had no light, and I had to use the spotlight of my cell phone to advance through the darkness, since the light from the elevator was not enough to cover the whole place. To give you an idea of where I was, the second floor is the one that gave access to the exit of the building. Then further down there was a parking lot, and the next floor was another park, and then there was the basement. I was moving forward and I felt the presence of something evil assaulting me, and I decided to hurry to get there. And when I tried to open the door that gave access to the stairs, I didn't realize that it had been locked from the outside. Suddenly, I heard the sound of the keys and saw that girl standing at the elevator door. "What do you want?" I asked her, but she didn't say anything. She just kept walking, and as she advanced, she made strange gestures with her face. I saw that her clothes had a lot of blood on them, and she smelled like a dead animal. At that moment, I felt the same level of disgust and fear. The only option I had was to hide, so I ran and got behind a warehouse of old washing machines. At that moment, I couldn't see her. When I ran to hide, I lost sight of her, and she had disappeared. I thought it was a good opportunity to escape and went very cautiously to the elevator. This time it worked, and I went out to look for the security guard, but he wasn't there. I only found his radio on the floor, and suddenly I heard someone speak and say, "I'm going to find you and take you with me. You have no escape." I dropped the radio and ran for help. This time I was going to a public phone to try to contact the police because my phone was dead due to the constant use I had given it since early hours. I should have left it for a situation like this. Right in front of the building where I lived was one of the few phones in the area, so I dialed as fast as I could. But there she was, in the middle of the street, and she was staring at me with a murderous look on her face. Her skin color was white, but her veins were purple and her eyes were totally white. I immediately knew that this thing was not human and that it was not willing to leave me alone, and I did what anyone would have done in a desperate situation. I started screaming to see if anyone would come out, but all buildings are designed so that the noise from outside doesn't bother the people inside. I kept running and found a police station. I immediately felt a sense of relief. When I entered, there was only one policeman on duty, and I explained to him what had happened to me. The cop thought I was going crazy and ignored me. I tried to explain in 1,000 ways, and he asked me to leave the station. At that moment, the girl came in. I immediately ran out. The policeman told her that she should take off her hood when she entered the station, but the girl apparently did what she knows best because I heard the policeman yelling in the distance. I secluded myself inside a small room. I locked it and spent the night there. The next day, there were a lot of policemen outside the station, and there was the body of that policeman. They said it was a high-ace attempt, but I know what really happened. No one was going to believe this version of the story, though. I went to my apartment and put my phone on charge. I let a few minutes pass and turned it on. I saw a message from a strange woman. The message read as follows. "Hello? I know you don't know who I am, but it is important that you call me as soon as possible. Your life is in danger." I thought it was a trap, that message, but after everything that happened that night, what could go wrong? I called the woman, and her voice was about 55 years old. She was very kind and told me that what had happened with me was a mistake. She apologized and told me that we should meet to try to correct it. Otherwise, I was lost. She took me to a public place where there were more people, and that made me feel a bit safe, although I didn't know who that woman was. "I am Eva," she said to me. "Nice to meet you." I answered her. We talked about it for a while, and I told her that for a moment I thought she was behind it and that they were trying to play a joke on me, or a group of gang members were trying to finish me off. But she proceeded to explain to me that it was something much worse than that. She told me that her daughter was a very rebellious teenager and liked to hang out on the streets at night with her friends, who were also rebellious kids. I don't know if having dedicated myself to black magic almost all my life had given me the punishment of having a sinister daughter. She was very young, but her level of evil was unmatched. One night she was trying to steal a baby to perform a ritual for a spirit to give her a lot of power, but things went wrong and she fell from the 8th floor of a residential building. She died immediately, but her companions took her body and took it to a temple. They performed a ritual to retrieve her soul, but instead of her, they brought into the world something worse. It seems that those inexperienced young people did it the wrong way and did not take into account different aspects that an experienced person would not have ignored. I agree that my daughter had gone down the wrong path, but the evil that this thing has is far worse than you can imagine. I was getting scared and asked him why his daughter was chasing me. When the boys did the ritual, they did it without offering anything in return. He told me, when the invocation of a spirit takes place and the spirit is not offered anything in return, the spirit can choose which soul to take. At that moment you were walking to that bar and the spirit looked into your soul. How can I stop it? I asked. She told me to come to her house at midnight tonight. I told her I didn't know if he would be alive by then and asked to stay at her house, to which she accepted. Once there, we started talking about it, and she told me that I had to be prepared because if it went wrong we could both die. I had no choice. I was going to die anyway if we didn't do something. She told me everything that was going to happen that night and invited 3 friends who were also dedicated to the practice of black magic. We sat at a table and left the door of the house open. That thing had to come in, and if it did, there was a plan that we had to follow through. When it came in, we felt a strong blizzard, and Eva said, "She is already here." She tried to attack me and entered what is called a circle of fire. It was just a circle that Eva drew on the floor to trap her. Once there, I poured holy water on her until the spirit left her body. And so that thing left me alone. A few days went by and Eva hid her daughter's body. Since then, we have kept a close relationship and have collaborated very closely with other cases.